Do you know that every time we give an entry-level job to someone, whether they're here legally or illegally, who's not an American citizen, we have prevented employing somebody who needed an entry job who is an American citizen. We don't have a million extra jobs. They're finite. We have a finite number of jobs. We need to employ Americans first. We need to stop stepping over our community to be helping the world. We need to be helping at home first.
I'll give you some information about that later, because that's some of the information that I want to talk to you about the trades union and about the chairman of over there and what they're doing as far as ODOT and some of the other labor, or when I say trades, period, jobs that are taking place that should not be going, in my decision, in my understanding, from what we see, in the direction that they're going. They should be fed just as what you just stated.
Okay. I believe God wants you to help as many people as you can, but to disadvantage ourselves to help other people is...
I guess that's the whole theory. You help home, take care of home first.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because when you're strong here, then you truly can be philanthropic. To be philanthropic when you're leaving the inside to decay is an abnormal philanthropy. You're pretending you're being wonderful. You're not being wonderful. You're assisting a different group of people who aren't us.
When I'm qualifying, when I'm vetting people of your stature, it's critical for me to know the hard decisions that someone in your position would have to make. Voting on war, not voting on war, when to go into war, how do you go into war, how do you get that game plan so that you know that you're sending less people as possible into situations like that. And anytime you're dealing with international trade, or why are you doing this trade, or how does it benefit the country, and how does it benefit us directly here at home, or even in R11, you know, taking those jobs away, or even adding those jobs, military or not. Well, here's the scenario. You're the president, you're the congresswoman, and you have to make a decision on someone that has been harming our country. That person or that organization, we now have done all of our top security on, we know where they're at. And we have one shot to get them. The cabinet has advised you, your senior partners have advised you, all the intel has advised you, Congress has advised you, Pentagon has advised you, and now you have all that before you. And you have to make a decision for the people, for us. But more than that, you know that this is our one shot to get these individuals that have done us wrong. Unfortunately, they're using a camouflage, and that camouflage is they're at a school where people, children, women, janitors, teachers, cleanup people are working, and we still have to go and get this person. How would you assess making that call, and when would you make that call to actually occur?
Well, I actually think the model has been identified and created by the state of Israel. They do multiple things when they decide they're going to target a infrastructure facility like a school or a hospital. They have something that's called knock at the door. The first thing they do is, well, first they drop leaflets in the language of the people, letting them know that the building they're in is going to be a target. It's decided. Okay, so you're informing. Now, not everybody in these countries reads. Okay, second of all, Israel has something called knock, where they drop a non-explosive device on the rooftop that is loud. And that is the notification that they are ready to come blow up that building. And they're asking for that building to be evacuated. It would be great to get to a point where we're not at the point you described, And what we're doing now is we have dumbed down the strength of our military through the number of people serving and the failure to keep all of our assets, planes, ships, and so forth, worthy of being, combat worthy. So I read articles in newspapers that they're going to museums to pull parts out of airplanes and other pieces of equipment so that they can use them on the battlefield. We need to determine what our assets need to be. They need to be functioning. We have many incidents where we lost Americans in the last 4 or 5 years to unnecessary casualties because of poor decisions and non-functioning equipment. Nate, every situation is going to be different. You can't, if you're going to take out a building because you know munitions are in that building and you've just decided that you're done having your people shot at, blown up at, and so forth, you may decide that that building's going to go, okay? Now, one of the things that's happening in the situation that Israel finds itself in is that the people they're fighting don't let the civilians out. They die. They force them to stay in the building. They die, and then they use their deaths as propaganda against, I'm just using Israel as an example.
That's a good example.
Okay. Well, let me give you a Bev Goldstein real-life story, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here it goes. In 2009, I was in Washington, D.C., lobbying on behalf of Israel because the amount of rockets that were being fired from Gaza into southern Israel reached over 10,000 rockets over a period of 6 or 7 years.
That was in the news. That was correct.
Okay. So I was the only female in the group, 6 Jewish people. 2 people were over about 60. 1 young man was 40. 1 young man was in college. He was 22. And we had 2 boys from a Jewish day school. And that was our group of lobbyists that day. We had an appointment with Miss Fudge's office. So Miss Fudge sits down, and we felt very honored that she took the meeting. She was fairly new. She was elected in '08. So we let the high school students present the problem with the missiles coming from Gaza to southern Israel. At some point in time, she interrupts one of these young people, and she said, you know, from my perspective, I think Israel should use more restraint when it comes to Gaza. So the kids didn't know what to say.
Implying what kind of restraint?
They shouldn't be not taking out their buildings in Gaza. They shouldn't be shooting back. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm in La La Land. I mean, how do you not get it? So we go around the table, and it's my turn. And I said, Congresswoman, I live closer to you than anyone else in this room. I could walk to your house in 20 minutes. If I shot a missile into your front yard, would you shoot back at me? And she didn't answer me. I said, okay, how about if I shot 10 missiles into your front yard? Would you shoot back at me? And she's just staring at me. It was really weird. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to let it all out. I said, what if I shot 10,000 missiles into your community? It blew up your house, went through your windows. Would you shoot back at me? And she looked at me and she said, well, that's not how Secretary of State Hillary Clinton or President Barack Obama explained the situation to me. And I said, Miss Fudge, that's why we're here. We're here so that you can understand the other side of the issue. This happened in '09, and I feel I can wake up and just feel like I'm still in that room to have your congresswoman representing 65,000 of your people not get it that the enemy is shooting 10,000 missiles over a period of time? It's
So what you're telling me,
something's
again,
not working.
so what you're telling me again is you would pull the trigger when necessary.
Yes, I would. Yes, I
Okay.
would.
That's what I wanted to know, because here's the
Wasn't
scenario.
that a long answer?
That
to,
was a long answer,
yes,
but
I would
it
have
was still a
pulled the
vetted,
trigger.
it was still a vetted question that sometimes need elongated explanation. And to me, to get that information, it concluded to the point where I would pull the trigger. And here's why. I've gotten all the intel from everyone. I know that they're camouflaging the school for their headquarters. My only question would be, when is the less amount of people in that room or in that building for casualties of war? Will they still be operating at 2:30 or 4:30 a.m.? And if they are, I know that that janitor is probably going to kiss his wife for the last time, or their children. I know that that cleanup woman is going to fold sheets or clean up or sweep for their grandchildren or their niece or nephew or sons or daughters for the last time. And even though it may be 200 people in that facility instead of 1,000, we're still going to go and get the enemy.